Your life.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to wait just a moment here to let everyone get connected. I don't know if anybody got rain last night. I did not. I was hoping for some for my garden, but it looks like I may have to water. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Vanessa. I'm with the Dallas Public Library. We are so grateful to the Office of Environmental Quality and Sustainability for co-hosting this series of programs of Grow With Us. Just a few housekeeping things today. You will be muted during the presentation. However, if you do have questions or comments, please feel free to put those in the chat and we'll get to those after the presentation. Also, you notice you had to accept an agreement because we are recording this. So if you don't want to appear, you can turn off your camera. The recording will be available afterwards, and so you can view it again or share it if you thought you learned some really valuable information, which I'm sure you will today. I know I'm looking forward to learning more about this topic. I know I'm not always the best about gardening properly, probably for my best physical health. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Nedra with OEQS and let her introduce our speaker for today. Thank you, Nedra.
Thank you, Vanessa. Good afternoon, and thank you for attending today's program. It is such a pleasure to be here today to host Grow With Us, and we have a very interesting program. My name is Nedra Richard Morgan, and I work for the Office of Environmental Quality and Sustainability, one of 70 plus departments and divisions within the city of Dallas. Our focus is on air quality to zero waste, A to Z, and many topics in between, such as energy, stormwater, and water conservation. People are getting outdoors again, and it may seem so simple, but please leave no trace when you walk your neighborhood, trails, or any outdoor trail, visit area lakes or parks. Take a garbage bag with you to pick up trash. Take a poop bag to pick up pet waste, and always pick up your pet waste at home at least once a week. Protecting our water supply, the quality of the land around us, and even the air is vital to our existence on the planet. If you're fishing, do not leave those bait containers laying around. Take them with you for proper disposal in the trash. The same goes for broken pieces of fishing lines and bent hooks. Leave no trace behind. It is vital for the environment and wildlife. Also, this is Plastic Free July. Anything you can do to reduce your use of single-use plastic items or reduce your purchase of plastic items will be of great benefit to our environment. Use your silverware instead of buying plastic forks and spoons for your next picnic or party. Take a glass or reusable container with you when you go out to eat to pack up leftovers. Take reusable bags to the grocer and say no thanks to the plastic bags. Our exciting partnership with the Dallas Public Library is what makes this program and 2 other virtual offerings possible. Earth Kids on Wednesdays and Earth Day every day on Thursdays. Thank you, Vanessa and Jordan. It is a great pleasure to work with you each week. Now I'm excited to introduce our guest speaker. She is no stranger to our program, and she is well known at Dallas City Hall and within the Dallas fitness community. Brenda Gorderos is a supervisor at the city's fitness center and runs the fitness program for the city of Dallas. Brenda was born in Puerto Rico and moved to Dallas, Texas 27 years ago. She was a teacher at middle schools and high schools in DISD, Dallas ISD, 7 years where she taught physical education and dance. Brenda completed her master's degree in education, and she's finalizing her PhD in psychology, industrial organization. She has been with the city of Dallas for 22 years as a wellness and fitness pioneer. She believes in human rights and diversity balance. Her goals are to help businesses and industries understand how to keep employees happy and healthy at work, while the organization becomes more efficient in its own right, ultimately resulting in a more successful organization and higher levels of satisfaction for employees. Brenda is married to a wonderful man and has 2 children. Please welcome Brenda Gorderos to the virtual podium. Welcome, Brenda.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? I hope everybody's doing awesome. I can say my name is Brenda Goleros, and I work for the Fitness Center Ciro Dallas. I've been there for almost 23 years. Woohoo! So, so it's rolling. So the topic that we are trying to talk today and is a very fascinating topic, which is gardening and exercises. We know that when we are outside, we always say, "Oh my goodness, we are really working out." Even when we do our contests in the fitness center, people say if gardening and cleaning the house and moving outside is part of the points, and they say gardening, it is a part of exercising. Absolutely, yes, because we move so much. But it's not just exercising, no, just gardening and moving, just the physical part, but the mentally part, it is important in the gardening, and it gives us so much of a benefit. Even if we don't know about gardening, I'm going to explain a little bit of how it works in our body. Personally, I try to do some gardening. We have blueberries, we have grapes in the house, we have plums, we have pears. We live in the countryside, and I've been trying to figure out what to put in the plants that are going to grow better. But my mom have a better hand than me, and my mom live with us, so it's good. She helped me in the growing. I don't have a big garden, but I have a little things that squash, zucchinis, and things like that we consume all the time. And we don't put any pesticide in our garden, so we share with the insects too. So just a little bit about that. So I'm going to start my presentation, and it's hanging there. You have a lot of big words because it is a lot of benefits. So I'm going to go into my next slides in here. Okay. And this is a topic that I'm going to be touching is benefits of gardening, mental and physically, and benefit of exercise and gardening. So mentally and putting both together. So next slide, please. And again, if you have any question at the end of the presentation, you can always ask me the questions and always let me know. You can share in the chat box those questions. So mental benefits of gardening. In a study by Park and other research studies determined that the effects of gardening activities on the brain nerve growth factors related to memory. Blood samples were drawn twice from each subject. So this is a group of people that they try to test after doing activities in the gardens. And this is what they found. The levels of brain nerve growth factors, including brain-derived neurotrophic factors. This is going to be a big word in here, but I'm going to explain to you what is it in a simple way. Vascular endothelial growth factor and platelet-derived growth factor. So it gives you a little bit of those big words that we're going to be using in this presentation. So these different nerve growth and cells, they were analyzed after the activity or during a period of time of activities. So the levels of BDNF and PDGF were significantly increasing after the gardening activity. This study revealed a potential benefit of gardening activities for cognitive function in seniors individuals. And I say seniors individuals, but it's not seniors individuals only, because gardening helps everybody. Everybody in I don't know if when you go outside and you do some gardening, plantings, and deal with flowers or whatever you're planting outside, you come back and you feel a little bit better, a lot of more relaxed. It happened to me. I don't use glove when I plant because I know the benefits of the dirt, and I use shoes because in case that I find something, I don't want to have a nail or a glass on my feet. You know, when I'm planting, it's always in the dirt. You find some things, but my hands are. I believe that it have so much nutrients that I need that contact with the dirt. So I'm going to explain a little bit of each of these terms, and I'm going to start with what is neurotrophins. Neurotrophins are a family of proteins that induce the survival, development, and function of neurons. They belong to a class of growth factors, secreted proteins that can signal particular cells to survive or grow. Growth factors such as neurotrophics that promotes the survival of neurons are known, and again, these factors target tissue and act by preventing the associated neuron from initiating programmed cells death. So it's going to stimulate the growth of cells in our neurons. So, and it allowed our neurons to survive. So it really, really helped to that growth. Neurotrophins also induce differentiation of cells and to form neurons. Again, it's going to help us to the neurons in our brain. So the next one that we talk about is that vascular endothelial growth. And vascular endothelial growth originally is a vascular factor again, that is again work on the protein and stimulate the formation of blood vessels. So to be specific, is a subfamily of the platelets and other neurons. And it helps in our vascular system. So it come also, remember that the vascular system is not just as we grow, but again, we're born with a different of these neurons. So if we don't take care of them, they die, and we don't want that. It's not just the dirt that is going to help, but it's everything involved in this gardening. So this vascular endothelial, it is a part of a system to restore the oxygen supply to the tissue when blood circulates inadequate. So when we have toxins and so forth. So it is very important that when we are working with the dirt, not just think about, that, okay, I just planting a flower, but we need to think about all this benefit that is going to create with stimulation. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about how the dirt is going to help our system, okay? So let me tell you about this study that they did that we talked previously. Participants in this study exhibit, when they garden, after a year of gardening, they exhibit a very high levels of brain nerve growth factors. And again, this is that first growth factor that we talk about. This study revealed the potentials of shortening of how the cells and the neurons grow in the brain, and the activity of the memory, how much improve when we do some gardening. Future studies are needed because they just talk about this short study. Is about a 1-year study, and they haven't done this a long period of time. So we need more studies about what is going to happen in a long term. And if these people continue gardening, what is going to happen? So what is the benefit of gardening in the cortisol? Next slide, please. Okay, so cortisol is one of the several stress hormones your body kind of produce when you experience a stress, okay? Your sympathetic nervous system, we have two systems, the sympathetic and the pathetic system. So we have both of them. So this is the system that it help you to, when something happens, react in a minute. So it's fight or fly response. So we or move faster, or we just stay freeze. So the cortisol is the one that triggers those actions. So I'm talking about the cortisol because cortisol when you move, when you're gardening, you're moving, and it's going to stimulate the cortisol in your body. So for me, it is one of the best exercises is to go outside and walk and garden and planting, because I know that it's going to increase, it's going to reduce my cortisol, but it's going to increase my reaction. So that's what we want. So we don't want the levels of cortisol to be too high. We want to be able to manage the cortisol. So that's what it's going to, the gardening is going to help to reduce that cortisol, so we don't just stay freeze. We move when things happen. So for me, my favorite way to ground or to reduce this cortisol is to go outside and plant or to walk and to just get outside in the sun and the fresh air. Also to be around the nature. So again, the dirt, the flowers, connection with the earth. So that is what is going to reduce your cortisol in your body. So it is many benefits for gardening. Next slide, please. Okay, let me see if I think that I skipped my slides in there. So let me go back. Give me just 1 second. Okay, so I love this part of gardening. So benefit of gardening and Mycobacterium vaccae. So if you see that, that's the way that I use when I garden. And my kids too. My kids love to be outside in there. You know that we always say, oh no, you have to put your shoes. Oh no, don't work with it. Don't play with the dirt. Oh, you're gonna get dirty. Don't get dirty. No, let your kids get dirty in the dirt, because they're gonna have a lot of benefits in there. You know that the garden involved dirt. Yes, absolutely. And it can be a little messy, like I say, when we say to the kids. However, there will not hurt. Actually, this is a benefit for everybody. Research suggests that bacteria found in the garden soil, like Mycobacterium vaccae, can improve your immune system. It is a good bacteria. It helps to, or it shows to alleviate your allergies, asthma, psoriasis, and all these kind of diseases that we all dealing with. So additional exposure of helpful bacteria can boost your body defense against common germs. So this is going to stimulate or help in your immune system, working with the dirt or dealing with the dirt. So don't put gloves exactly when you work with the dirt. I mean, you wash your hands after, but just let that mineral, let your Mycobacterium vaccae improve. Getting your hands dirty in the garden can increase your serotonin levels. Contact with soil and a specific soil bacteria, again, serotonin level, so Mycobacterium vaccae, and trigger the release. This is going to release the serotonin in your brain, according to the research. Serotonin is a happy chemical, and natural antidepressants, and it strengthens the immune system. So just imagine you're getting a good deal in here. You're getting your happiness, so it can make you increase the chemical, the serotonin, that make you be happy, because when you see flowers and when you see something grow, and when you go outside, you work with it there, and then in 1 month you have some fruit, you say, oh my goodness, I did this. And when you come in, like I say, I don't know about you, but when I come out from gardening, I feel better a lot. Lack of serotonin in the brain causes depression. So what the best way to do this, improve our serotonin in the brain, by just for free dealing with dirt and planting. So if you have any allergies, of course, you have to be careful. But it is, at least we know that gardening without glove, and have always loved the feeling of getting bare hands. So the glove is not what you need when you're gardening. Again, like I said before, we need to just get our hands involved with all that nature. And yes, you're going to find some worms in there that we probably don't like the worms or things like that. But just move on. Just let the birds eat the worm, and then you keep planting. And my kids love all that. My kids love fishing. My kids like to be outside and deal with that, dirt. And they find worms and they come and show it to me. Of course, they show it to me. Why not? So the next slide, please. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the benefits of the garden. So let me tell you what is going to help when you do gardening. I'm going to show you like you say over here, the activity, cleaning the garden pot for 2 minutes and removing the weeds. It is the level of activity that you're going to be doing is 3.4. So we always look in the treadmill. Oh, what is the level of METs? The level of METs is what is the intensity that you're working in the treadmill. So now we're going to talk about what is the intensity that you're doing when you're doing gardening. So it's at 3.4. It is like walking in the treadmill about 3.0 speed. So that means that you're walking about 18 minutes a mile to 19 minutes a mile. So you are going to be burning calories. That is just for 2 minutes. Now digging, let's say that you're having a shovel and you're digging in there. So for 5 minutes, you're going to increase your METs or your exertion in there. You're going to be increasing your heart rate and everything. So that is going to go to 4.5. 4.5 is like walking in the treadmill about 3.5. That is about 17 minutes a mile in the treadmill. So I'm just giving you the example of the treadmill because most of us know a little bit of walking in the treadmill. So let's see if you just fertilize the dirt. So that is for 3 minutes. We have again a 4.0. So again, you think about just walking in the treadmill. This is just for 3 minutes. So just imagine when you're gardening, you don't want to go out there for 3 minutes. You probably go out there for a little bit longer time. Racking the leaf is the same thing, and transplanting plants, watering, you still have burning calories and you're still moving. So it is very, very important for us to just move. If you like the gardening, what is the benefit of that garden? Now, another thing that you have to take in consideration, okay, you're doing this exertion, but which muscles I'm working, I'm moving. So the muscles, when you are really racking or bagging, you're working on your back muscles because you're pulling. So, and you're working in your arms when you're cutting or limbs, or you're cutting plants, or you're cleaning your garden. If you have scissors, you're working in your chest and you're working in your bicep. And sometimes we don't really realize that. So you're working in your abdomen because when you are kneeling or when you are carrying something, your core get active. So we always want to just keep our core, supported. So we always use that, those muscles. In terms of your legs, if you have to bend and carry a pot, you're going to bend like a squat and carry a pot from one side to the other side. So you're going to work in your quads and your hamstring, and so far in your thighs, in your feet. And so we have different postures over here. So let's see. So yard care and tending to your garden is a unique form of exercise, no? Through these activities, you can get something calm, creative, fun, and work in different muscles. The best thing about gardening is that it is involved your entire body. As you're gardening, you involve different exercises which target, again, the different parts of your body. You improve your strengthening. You improve your cardiovascular because you do it for a while. And if you're cutting grass, again, you're working in a lot of muscles in there. Usually garden activities for different age. So everybody can do it, not just one group. Everybody can do the gardening. So instead of, you can still go for a jogging, but this is going to balance. Again, if you don't want to go for a jogging and you do your gardening, you're still going to use your strengthening. You're still going to improve in your cardiovascular because you're moving. You're still improving in your strength. And gardening, to tell you the truth, have proven to be effective way to reduce osteoporosis, again, because you're carrying things, so you are stimulating the bone in these when you do gardening. Remember to just be careful if you have any back problems. Just be careful when you're carrying a big pot or so far. Next slide, please. All right. So in another study in 2006 by University of Scranton, Pennsylvania, showed that by gardening, you burn more calories than you will having in a gym section. So if you're doing gardening like these guys in the picture, they're planting, you will burn more calories and it's going to be a lot of more beneficial. And I love exercise, don't get me wrong, because that's what I do for a living, exercising. But one of the parts of my exercises is not just going and put some shoes, some exercise shoes and go for a run. No, gardening is part of my exercises, to cutting the grass, cutting leaf, fertilize the plants. And so far, it might feel light, but the key is the duration of the garden. So again, when you go outside for a gardening, you don't go just for 1 minute, you go for a longer time. So that is the important things of the gardening. So gardening activities seems to be low intensity, but you engage in them for a long time, like I said before. In fact, while the gardening, you are likely to spend about twice of what you spend when you go into the gym. As you garden, you expose yourself to more stimulus that you will have under the treadmill monitor. Treadmill monitor, you're just going to go straight. So you're going to be using your body just in your sagittal component. Your sagittal component is the one that you flex and extend the muscle. Okay. Now, when you use your gardening, you move different directions. So you're working in your sagittal plane, front plane, and your transfer planes because you rotate your body. So we're working in different direction. So it is important. This is the gardening piece of our daily. I know that if you live in the city, it is very hard to do gardening, but regardless if you live in the city, you can have a pot of with flowers, or you can make your small garden and plant in there. Remember that it is very, very motivational when we garden, and it is good for our health, not just for one physical part, but mentally part. So also it have been proved that it reduces or minimize the pain and anxiety you feel. So if you are, let's say that you having a problem, if you go outside and you do some planting or just look at the flower or just smell the flowers, you feel a lot better when you finish that. So next slide, please. Okay, so if you need some information and you would like to have more information about all the research that are there, this is some of them. So there are many, many research studies about gardening and your health and how improve your health, and gardening and mental benefits, and gardening and cardiovascular benefits. So I put some of them right here, and it is a video over there that this video in the reference on the bottom of your reference, it show how to build a box to do your gardening if you live in the city. So you don't need a big place. You can just do it just in a small place. So if you have any questions, just let me know and I can answer as much as I know. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Brenda. So we have had a few questions. There's a comment that someone saves rainwater, Yvonne saves rainwater in big buckets, and then she carries that water to her plants. And so she says it's a good arm and shoulder workout carrying that water.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, it's like doing a bicep curl. It's exactly like you're doing.
And Nedra says that she tends to be a little bit sore after working in the yard and garden. Do you suggest stretching before working outside, like in your garden? Will it help with the soreness if you stretch beforehand?
Yes, that do that. And after that, after you do your gardening and just do some kind of a stretching on your arms, a stretching of your legs, and that will help for any soreness. I know that when you work all day in the garden, you will have some soreness. It is just no doubt, especially because we don't do the gardening every single day. So it's like having a weightlifting series or section today, and you don't have a weightlifting section in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, depending on how often you cut your yard or you mow your yard. So it is good to just, do your stretches after fact. I don't recommend to do stretches before the fact of gardening because our muscles are not warm enough yet to do that kind of stretching. Even when you exercise, it's good to do your stretches after your exercises, not before your exercises. So that is a recommendation.
Awesome. One of the things personally that when I'm gardening that I worry about is like repetitive motions. You know, like if you're clipping something or trimming things, is there a way to reduce like, having, because like naturally sometimes I have like wrist pain and stuff, or if I'm using my hand clippers a lot, is there a way to reduce that at all? Or do you have any tips for that?
Absolutely. It is a different way. So what you do is you're going to do is exactly like you do when you do any kind of exercise. You do kind of like intervals. So let's say that you are planting in the ground, which you need a shovel. Take breaks. So you start with your shovel, and when you feel like your muscle is getting tense, you need to stop that activity and stretch. You know that when you exercising, I'm gonna stand up over here, or when you are doing your shovel, I'm gonna stand behind here so you can see. Okay, everybody can see me? Yes? All right. So let's say that you're using your shovel. Okay. So I'm in here doing my shovel, and I'm in this position. So I'm going to put my shovel down, and I'm going to bring my hands behind me. I'm going to point my fingers down into my glutes, and I'm going to open on my chest. And I'm going to stretch back. So I hold that position for about 10 to 15 seconds. And I'm opening now in the opposite muscle that I work. So when I'm doing here, I'm stimulating my chest and I'm engaging my core. But the back muscles are lengthening and they are not supporting as much. So I want to do the opposite. I'm going to stretch the muscles that were active, which is the front, and I'm going to contract the muscles in the back, because when I do my back extension right here, I'm contracting the muscles in the glute, and I'm contracting the muscles behind my shoulder, my deltoid, right here. When you're using the shovel, you're activating the front, extending the back. Now, when I'm going into my opposite, I'm going to activate the back and extend the muscles in the front. So that is one of the exercises that I will ask you to do. I will recommend you to do is to take breaks, like intervals, like maybe use the shovel for, for 1 minute and then a stretch. And that's going to help you. Also the wrist, you can always do the mobility. Remember, mobility, like I heard before, motion is lotion. So you want to move the wrist that you've been holding the shovel for a long time or planting. Now you're going to do the circle of your wrist and move it to the other side, as well as opening your hands because you've been grabbing. So you're going to do the opposite. You're going to open your hands and close it. So that's what is going to stretch the opposite muscle and get you out of that repetition. The repetition might increase in the possibilities of injury. So we're going to take intervals in the planting.
That's good advice, especially when it's hot outside.
I hydrated.
Shade breaks. Yes.
Yes, shade breaks and hydrate. Absolutely. Yes. During this summer, that even we haven't had a very high summer. Like other years, we have 100, 108, 110 in the degrees. It's been in the 90s, but the humidity been high. So if we add the your temperature with the humidity, it might be above 150. And it's not recommended to be outside when the humidity together with the temperature equal to 150 degrees. So
good. Good to remember that. Yeah, especially I don't think we have the humidity levels say that Houston has, but we do get pretty humid here in Dallas.
Yes.
So Judy asked, she says her neck and shoulders are often sore after gardening. What can be done to help that?
Okay, so in the shoulders and your neck when you are in the gardening. So what I do mostly, I'm going to stand up back so you can see my exercise. I'm going to put, if these muscles are the one that are sore, I'm going to bring my right hand, it's going to be my opposite, my right hand behind you, my shoulder is going to be down. I'm going to use my left hand because I'm facing you, but you can use your right. You can do it with me, guys. And I'm going to bring my ear to the opposite side. So if my left arm is out, I'm going to bring my ear to my right. So that is going to stretch on the muscles around my neck. You see, I'm stretching those muscles in the trapezium. I'm stretching my shoulder. It's going to be lightly back. So, and I'm going to hold that position for about 10 to 15 seconds. And then I'm going to switch and I'm going to bring my other arm behind me. Relax the shoulder, and I'm going to stretch to the opposite side to stretch around my neck and my trapezium. So right here. Now, the second exercise that I recommend for the shoulders and for the neck, it is most of the time our sternocleidomastoideo. That is the run that attach all the muscles in the sternum and the clavicle. That's what is that long name, sternocleidomastoid. So what I wanted just to stretch those muscles, because I've been using all these muscles in the front, but I haven't been stretching. So I'm going to stand up, or just right there where you're at. You're going to turn your head to one side, and you're going to bring your chin lightly up. So now I'm stretching those muscles that they are in the sternocleido, right here. And my shoulders are going to be back. So that is a position that I'm going to hold for about 10 to 15 seconds. I'm going to go to the center to a neutral position, and I'm going to turn into the other side and look lightly up. And those are going to stretch those muscles in the front. And again, these are muscles that not just get tight for gardening or using the lawnmower activities outside, but those are muscles that we should do daily to minimize the creation of impingement of nerve, or to minimize any problem with your disc around your neck, because this position will affect your neck. So I'm going to stretch those muscles in the front, even when I'm working at home in the computer, not just working outside physically. Any other questions?
Yes. So Yvonne said that her husband mows the yard. When he mows the yard, he always gets hot. And he gets hot even indoors. So he'll drink a lot of Gatorade afterwards. But she knows that it's high in sugar and salt. What do you think about that? And are there other ways to recover fast after working hard in the garden? She drinks water afterwards. So is there anything that you can do besides Gatorade to help kind of recover from your outside activities?
Well, the first thing is, yes, absolutely. The first thing is not to wait until you finish. That is a no. Okay. Most likely we should be drinking water through the whole process of cutting the grass. Okay. So if I'm cutting the grass, I'm not going to wait until I'm going to pass out or I'm already thirsty. When you're already thirsty, you are dehydrated already. So we want to drink before we get to the thirst. Okay. And Gatorade, it is a very, I will say, I will not use the word dangerous, but you have to be careful when you are taking Gatorade all the time. Like you say, Gatorade is very high in sodium and high in sugar. It's some of them that they're sugar-free, but again, then you have the aspartame part, which is aspartame is not the best thing to put. Those are the artificial sugar. So we need to keep those away for a little bit. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't take sugar." Well, that is what you take. Oh, I take Splenda, or I take NutraSweet or whatever. So that is not the best choice either, because those have been proved that those affect our system and they can cause cancer if we take it in high amounts. So I would recommend that if you're going to drink Gatorade, maybe take one Gatorade. Let's say that the Gatorade is 16 ounces. So one Gatorade for 16 ounces of water. So you can drink your Gatorade. A lot of people dilute the Gatorade half and half, but we still get having the Gatorade in there, the sodium in there, the sugars in there. So if you're going to drink Gatorade, one Gatorade, 16 ounces, 16 ounces of water. That's how you want it. And if the activity outside is just for less than 1 hour, you do not need any electrolytes. And again, this is a research proof. It's no need for the electrolytes. You want just to work with water instead of the other one.
Perfect. So some people said thank you for the stretches. Like I think Judy said it hurt a little bit, but I think when you're first doing stretches, it's always going to hurt just a little bit as you're working out those muscles, right? So that's, as long as it doesn't hurt too badly.
Yeah, like I say, yeah, like it's, and you don't want it to do the stretches when you're too cold. Like we're sitting right now. If you do it when we're sitting, then yes, you're gonna feel more the stretch because the muscles are not, they don't have enough blood flow, so the muscle is cold. And you don't want to take it to a very deep. If it's the first time that you do the exercise, just do a very light moderation. So if I'm gonna turn my head and look up, I'm gonna look just slightly up, because first of all, the muscles are not warm. And secondly, if you haven't done the exercise, you don't want to do it too deep, the stretch. When I teach the yoga, I tell my students, just listen to your body. If it's painful to the joint, then you have to back up. If it's just extension of the muscle, then extend the muscle. But don't feel, you don't want to go to the point that your muscle, that your joint is hurting.
That's good advice. Amanda said that she was bad at hydrating, so she said thank you. Yeah, her doctor even told her that she needed to be better about hydrating. I think a lot of people need to be. I know I need to be better about hydrating.
And you know, the hydrating is, you can put lemon if you don't like just the water, because sometimes the water get old, you know. Sometimes you don't want to just to drink water. So what I do is use a diffuser or something like that, and I put fruits in my water. I put lemon in my water, and it tastes real good. So I can do all that, and that will help for the taste of the water if you don't want to have that taste of the water.
That's one of the reasons I like to grow herbs, is because, you know, you put some lemon balm or some mint in your water too. It makes it really tasty. So,
yes, absolutely. Mint is real good.
yeah.
So you put mint in the water and you put mint and lemon. Oh, it tastes real good. So you don't have to worry about, oh, that taste of the water again. So, and again, be careful with those artificial, like little drops that you put in the water for the taste, or those little package that we put in the water for the taste. You have to be careful. It's better like you do, grow some earth, buy some earth and lemon and pieces of oranges and things like that, and make the water tasty. And you have your vitamin C right there.
Perfect. Yeah. I know cucumbers have some hydration properties too. So cucumbers in your water, I know some people don't like the taste of cucumber. I like the taste, but so that can help you hydrate too, right? The cucumbers.
Absolutely. Whatever fruit or vegetable that is, you know, based in the water, you have to be careful with the watermelon have a lot of sugar. So if you have diabetes, just be careful with that. Grapes have a lot of sugar, so just be careful with that. But cucumbers are excellent. I love cucumber as well. Sometimes that's my snack in the night. I cut cucumbers and I put lemon sometimes, and that is a crunchy, you know, that sometimes we have the urn for crunchy stuff. So that is a crunchy stuff. And it tastes, for me, it tastes awesome.
Yes, I agree. But, you know, some people don't like them, but I just agree to disagree with those people. So Nedra says that on very hot days, wrapping a wet cloth around her neck helps with her recovery. So is that a good
Absolutely.
technique? Okay.
Absolutely. That is an awesome technique. And it's some rags that already come forth that you can put it in the freezer or your refrigerator, and you can put it around your neck. Remember that just if you get very, very hot, you can have a rag like that and look in the places that you have the glands, okay? The nodules, and you're gonna put it like underarms is a good way to cool down, neck, and in between your legs too. So you have some glands over there that need to be cool off, and not just think about your neck, but all those glands in around your body. That is going to help you, especially if you're getting to the point that you are going to get, a heat stroke. Be sure that you get cool off, get in the shade, and get some cool rags. And that is awesome, Nedra, to do that.
All right. So Judy mentioned that she likes mint and basil, and also melon and fresh basil. And I agree. I like basil with fruit. I know it seems like an odd combination to some people, but it is really good.
Yeah, it tastes real good. And the thing is that, to tell you the truth, is to learn and to experience different tastes. Because sometimes we are stuck with one taste. But if we open our sense and we experience of the taste, you're going to find that, oh my goodness, what I'm missing, because that taste. And a lot of people, I have to put salt in the ear and I have to put sugar in here. But no, if you experiment with the nature, with things that are in the natural way, you're going to see, you're going to feel better, of course, because sugar, you're going to have a crash of, your insulin level is going to go and down and up and down, and you're always going to be craving sugars if you just always use sugar or any other artificial flavors. And artificial flavors, to tell you the truth, when you use artificial flavors, then you want sugar all the time. So, but if you use the nature, the natural things, your insulin level is going to be always in one level, which that's what we want to reduce our risk of getting diabetes. So you see that if you have planted some basil outside and some mint outside, that will help you. You go to the backyard, you put it in your water, and you just go on.
Definitely. Yeah, fresh. There's nothing better than cutting fresh things or getting fresh things from your garden. So.
Absolutely.
And so Yvonne had a good idea. She says she's going to keep a cold water bottle with her outside, and that's what I do. I have an insulated water bottle that I take out to the garden with me, so I have. You just have to remember. I think your thing about doing things in intervals is a good reminder to. Sometimes you can get caught up in what you're doing in the garden, but like you said, it's going to take those water breaks and those stretching breaks.
Yes, because the garden is going to be there, so you have to take care of yourself, So remember, taking care of ourselves is the number one thing. And then planting, that it's going to have a lot of beneficial for you. Play with the dirt, not playing, but planting for me is playing. It is awesome because now that, okay, it's okay, you're going to get a little bit dirty. Oh, my kids are going to get a little bit dirty, but it's okay. They can take a shower later on. You can wash your hands later on. Bring your water with you. Take care. Drink water. Take breaks. Stretch the muscles, the opposite muscles as you're working. If you're working, again, in the front muscles, this is what we work the most. Be sure that you activate the muscles in the back. Drink water at least every 15 to 30 minutes. Bring your water bottle like you're doing. Bring in, a cool water. And enjoy the day. I know that we have so many things to do during the day. We're always busy. But if you're doing the garden, enjoy the gardening because it's beneficial for your brain. Physically, mentally and physically, it is beneficial for everybody.
And Yvonne's making me hungry because she's talking about fresh peppermint with yogurt and fruit. That does sound delicious. That
sounds good. I think that we're all hungry here.
And she also says she needs to try gardening without gloves, that she's always wearing gloves. And yeah, it depends on what I'm doing, whether I wear gloves. If I'm working with something that, has prickles like my roses or blackberries, then yeah, I wear my gloves, but
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You have to protect your hands. But if you're mixing your dirt, that you're gonna put all the mix in there, it's a beneficial. And you know that it's not dangerous, so you don't have a glass in there or things like that, then use your bare hands. Yeah, for roses, you're gonna need your glove, your garden glove for, for whatever have, you're gonna get stick. Yes, you have it, you need it.
and something that no one's brought up, but something that I worry about because I'm pasty, is sun exposure. So be aware of that too. Like, wear your sunscreen, like, because the vitamin D is good for you, but I think you only need like 15 minutes, right, to get enough vitamin D. So make sure that you're, even though it's hot, I garden in long sleeves usually. So yeah, that's something to worry about too, is how much sun you're getting.
Yeah, how much exposure are you getting in there? You, like you say, long period of time in the sun is not healthy, but we need some sun. And according to the dermatologists, they say that yes, that 50 minutes is important. That in 50 minutes, except if you are very light complected, you have to protect a little bit more because you don't going to have. And if you are not used to being in the sun so often, you have to be careful with that. I always, if I'm going to go in the sun, I always spray, some kind of sunblock in there. And I use a hat, I live in the country. So everybody that work around here in where I live, they always have hats, so it looked funny.
Oh no, I'm a big proponent of large hats. Plus they keep you shaded, and I like ones with
Yes, yes, absolutely.
I always get the ones with the ventilation though, so that your head doesn't get too sweaty.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Just those Pamela that have just the little holes, so it's a breeze in there. Except if we work outside in the winter, it's different. But over here in Texas, we have just a short winter. This winter was a little bit hard, which it was very hard for all the vegetables and things like that. We lost a lot of our trees and plants in here, but it's depending of, again, what environment are you going to be.
Yeah. And Yvonne brings up a good point about insect. She said she used to have, there was like I think she said the Bullfrog was a brand, a combination sunscreen and insect repellent. That sounds good. That's another thing you have to watch out for, is make sure, like, I like to garden in the evening, but I usually have to be careful because the mosquitoes are out in force this year, I guess, with all the rain we've been getting.
Absolutely. And not just mosquitoes. I mean, you have I don't know around your place and some other people place, but we have snakes in here. So we try not to do gardening in the evening. We try not to kill the snakes, especially if they are just rat snakes. We call it the rat snakes because they eat the rats. So we try not to kill them. Except if we have maybe a water moccasin or things like that. So we have some poisonous snake that we have to be careful in the night, because mostly in the night. But if you have bushes around your house, be careful because they're coming out to the city because it's so much building construction. So now they escaping from their environment and they're getting into our house. It's not their fault. It's our fault because we are taking them from their environment. But you have to be careful.
And Yvonne was speaking of mosquitoes. She said that she has 2 traps. They love her and they come after her. And she asked for any suggestions for better ways to keep mosquitoes away. And Judy suggested that using sure you don't have standing water where they can breed. We just had an Earth Day every day about dragonflies, so encouraging dragonflies in your yard. So using organic practices, I know that can help with your mosquito control. Do you have any other suggestions, Brenda?
Yes, if you go in any nursery home, in a nursery store, if you can find, it's a plant. Oh my goodness, the plant just came out of my head. It's the same, the citronella plant. If you find those plants, they have it, and they're very helpful around the area that you're sitting. So if you buy some of them, the mosquitoes, they don't like that smell. It's a citronella plant. I don't know if exactly that is the name of the plant, but that's how I call it.
Yeah, I was just typing
Yes.
it for people who didn't know how to spell it. Yeah, I think it's a type of scented geranium, I think is what it is, because it has kind of those geranium.
Yes, something like that. Yes, I'm very bad with the name, so.
I've heard lemongrass. Anecdotally, I haven't seen any studies about lemongrass, but so that's a double benefit because it's a pretty plant, and lemongrass tea is also delicious too.
Yes, absolutely. It is. It is.
The citronella plant, I don't think you could eat, but the lemongrass you can always eat, and it's not repelling mosquitoes. You can still eat the lemongrass plant. So, all right. Well, I think that's our time, Brenda. Thank you so much. It looks like Nedra.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Nedra put a link about that. Another, if you want to read more about gardening and mental health, she put a link in the chat about that. Yes, you gave us a lot to think about, a lot of good tips. I know I need to be better stretching after I garden to make sure I don't get that. Okay, and thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom, and thank you for being here today. Just so everyone knows, this Thursday, I usually have the links open and I did not. This Thursday we have another Earth Day Every Day coming up. Yeah, let me grab the link for that real quick. And see. We're going to be talking about sustainability. So we have Dr. Marianne Cairns, who's going to be talking to us about that. And then our next Grow With Us program will be covering preparing for a fall garden. So I know it seems like it's a little bit early to be thinking about fall, but a lot of plants that you plant for fall, you start in August. So it's good to start thinking about that. So thank you again for joining us. Did you have anything, Nedra, to wrap us up?
No, not at all. This was really great information. So I want to thank you, Brenda, for joining today's program or presenting at today's program. So thank you all for attending.
All right. Well, we'll see you hopefully this Thursday and maybe next Monday. So thank you everyone for joining us today.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.